Hey, my name is Dan. Welcome back to the shop. And today I want to kind of spend a little bit of time tying up some loose ends. I know three specific things I want to talk about. And when I mean loose ends is, in the past I talked about, oh, certain things, mentioning, oh, we'll go over this in the future. And it figured out I never got back to them. And so let's go ahead and start off today with this. Hey, welcome back to the shop. It's really good to see you here again. Yeah, remember this? Well, the last time I was working on this plane was just before we ended up moving to the new shop. So let's see here. I had completed the wing, was about as far as I'd gone at that place. And then I put the wing up while I was moving stuff in so I wouldn't get it hurt. It was hanging in a lumber rack over my head here. And that ended up being a good idea because there's been a lot of stuff moving in and out of this shop as we moved into the house. But anyway, once I got that back in play and got the shop into a condition where I could start working on planes again, my buddy Mark came over and said, hey, what do you say I help you build that plane? And, with the state the shop has been in, I took him up on it. So he put together the fuselage and then he covered everything. And now the plane is back here ready to be completed. And what I mean by completed, I'm going to have a little bit of fun with this one. This plane here is not a scale plane. This is the Flying King from Bruce Tharp Enterprises. And this is a plane that, it's just basically like a big trainer airplane in all of its nature. So I thought I'd have a little fun with it. I love scale planes. I like to find, World War II planes or planes that served in one way or another, or maybe even a paint job that's very familiar. But what I want to do is I'm going to take this plane and I'm going to turn it into it's called an L4 is what it was used for back. And I've got a specific one picked out, an L4 that was back in World War II used for spotting tanks when we were at war with Germany. And the particular plane this one is called Rosie the Rocketer, and it's got a great story behind it. It turns out that this guy was a L4 pilot. He was out observing and finding the targets for his troops, his tank division to come in and eliminate. But I think that the guy got so bored with just finding them that he actually wanted to get in on the action. So he mounted bazookas on the struts of it. It was actually a Piper Cub, a 1930s Piper Cub, and he actually mounted bazookas on the struts of it and used them. And he is credited with, I think it's like 6 kills. Maybe I got to look that up again. But yeah, pretty darn cool. He got credited with kills of German tanks because it's like, he spotted them in the field rather than report where they were. He wanted to get in the action and go ahead and get them himself, and so he did. But anyways, I got the markings for the plane, and they showed up in the mail the other day, and I will be putting those on here. There's some other paint job scheme parts that need to go on, like the entire bottom of the plane has to be painted gray. And we're going to make this look like that scale airplane, even though the plane is not a scale airplane. It's just going to be a fun project. So that's what's going on with the Flying King right now. As we get closer to doing the markings and stuff like that, Mark wants to come over and help me with that because he's put those kind of markings. This is a very nice covering he put on here. This is stuff called Oratex. And it's not like a shiny, glossy plastic film. It's actually a cloth weave with a paint job on it. So this is going to be really cool. I'm going to be painting over this one. It's going to have invasion stripes on parts of it. It's going to have the markings, and we're going to try to make it look just like that L4. There's going to be a few things. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do the bazookas yet, but I know I got to do them, right? You got to do, that was one of the most remarkable things about this particular paint job. It's got some very attractive nose art. It's got the stars and bars, and it's just going to look like an overall military World War II type of plane when I'm done with it. So pretty excited about that. That is coming up. But once again, this is an old loose end that I wanted to kind of get you back into where it is right now. And so this is where it is, and we're going to have to finish it up together. The second loose end that I want to talk about is my friend Jeff, who works for the, well, he's a volunteer at the Oakland Air Museum. And I presented this, oh man, it's been a long time. He was working on a project where it was a prototype of a blimp that was being investigated, that somebody was being, basically the story is this. The model that he was, what do we call it? Restoring? Yeah, he was restoring a prototype model that was pitched to Boeing. Evidently, Boeing was looking into the possibility of dirigibles, blimps. And, you know, I kind of did a little bit of looking around, and it's actually a thing. Like, take a look at this picture here. This one comes from Lockheed Martin, and this is their contribution to it. So evidently, it's a thing. They're looking at the possibility of transporting cargo and things like that on blimps. They don't see anything about wanting to carry people in them, but they're talking about, you know, cargo and things like that. So it's being looked into. And so in this particular case, somebody was pitching to Boeing this particular dirigible. And the thing that I found interesting about this one is that it has a wing on it. So it's a blimp with a wing, which to me, that's kind of an interesting concept because wings are used to create lift. But I mean, the whole thing's full of helium, or at least it's got a bunch of helium packets in it to make it lighter than air to begin with. So what do you need a wing for? But anyways, the long and short of it was this particular one was not taken on by Boeing, and the model ended up getting donated to the museum. But it shows, you know, the inventiveness of the whole aviation industry. So Jeff went and refinished it. He recovered the pieces in it. They had been, you know, aged a little bit, or maybe the material was not meant to last a long time. But when you put it into a museum, you want to definitely have something that's going to be, it's going to be there hanging up for people to see for a long time. And so this is what it ended up looking like, which I think is really cool. And yeah, so I wanted to circle back on that. Jeff, thanks for following up and showing us your finished pictures and stuff like that. I kind of hope to check in with Jeff because that Oakland Air Museum, they seem to have some pretty cool projects going on, and he gets assigned to helping out with that and, you know, kind of restoring historical type of things. I mean, I think one time I heard he was working on an airplane cockpit, which I think that's really cool. And, you know, if I had a retirement job, if there was a place like that in the area where I was at, man, I'd love to be down there helping them to restore these old planes. You know, and I don't have a whole lot of restorative, you know, I'm handy with my hands and stuff like that, but it would just be fun to be working on something that was actually, you know, part of history. But anyways, that's item number 2. Okay, so I thought the next segment here, I would put you on the wobble cam and let's do a little bit of a tour around the shop, because that's another one of those loose ends that I've wanted to kind of bring you in on. Building this shop has taken some time. It took more time than I thought it was going to, because it was, well, I had several missions for it. One of them was I wanted to get everything out of the storage unit that I took you to that one time so that it's all right here. And that's so handy to have, because there were so many times when I'd be working on a plane in my shop and I'd realize, oh shoot, I forgot I need a part. I'm missing a certain part. And so I would have to go to the storage unit and see if it was there. And sometimes it was, sometimes it wasn't. Sometimes I would think that something was just completely lost. And so I would have to run to the storage unit. And, you know, it was like 3 miles from the house, so it wasn't a super big deal to go check it. But it's just so nice to have it right here. So let's go ahead and start with, let me see here. What was one of the first things I had to do? Oh, yes. Okay, so one of the first things I had to do was work on the light. All right, so you can see up here the lights are LEDs. I had to replace every single one of these light fixtures in here. They were all old fluorescent tubes. A lot of them had like black ends on them. On cooler days, you could turn them on and sometimes they wouldn't even come on. Sometimes they would just kind of flicker real dim until they got warmed up. It's just not ideal for this shop. So that was the first thing I had to do. I replaced every single one of these light setups here with LED bulbs. and it was good and bad. I used the existing housings. You got to rip out the ballast and reconnect the wires in a certain way, but it's really easy to do, and you get much brighter light. And as I have gotten older, I've kind of discovered that, you know, I need more light for my eyes to see what I'm doing, and it's so much nicer to have a well-lit room for working on. So that became imperative, and I went ahead and changed them all out. Hey, what you doing down there? Huh? Yeah, just kind of hanging out today? Whoa, you look so tough when you do that. Yeah, okay. Anyway, that's Kitty. The fact about Kitty is now that I've actually got 3 cats out here. Ooh, there's one of them over there. I don't know where they all are. I think some of them are outside. They got this kitty door so they can go in and out as they please. But over here, this is my white cat. She's I think they call her a flame point Siamese. She's extremely dirty. She's been rolling in the dirt, you can see. But anyways, her name is Cabela. And then I've got another cat. Oh, here she is over here. This is Mochi. Hi, Moch. And she's in a she's got cat hair all over her bed. Ugh. Anyways, she's very well fed, and she is the 3rd cat that's here. Now, the thing about cats in our shop is the other 2 cats don't give a rip about me doing videos. Trixie is the only cat who, when she sees me starting to work on a video, she shows up. She shows up, she wants to be on a stool next to me. It's like she's a performer. And so I expect that that's probably going to continue. She always wants to be around when I start shooting. It's kind of fun. So anyways, that's the cats. All right, what's the next thing to talk about? Let's talk about the storage unit. So the storage unit, like I said, I am bringing it in piece by piece, and I'm going to go ahead and flip you around again. Hold on. Okay, so this is the wing rack. This is the wing rack that was actually in the storage unit. It's got the exact same wings of all the planes that are in there, and it's looking pretty good. Over in this corner over here, this is where the fuselages are going to go. And mostly the fuselages that are from planes that are to be built. So for instance, that is a Bearcat fuselage. No, I'm sorry, that is a Sea Fury fuselage back there, the one that's in the epoxy form back there. This is a Rascal that's actually something that got donated to our club, and I have to, I got to sell it. We need it for a fundraiser, so it's just hanging out here until I can find somebody to buy it. And let's see here, what else? We'll go down, looking down this way here. This whole under part here, this is kind of handy. This whole under part here is great for storage. Just need a place to be able to put stuff. When you have a shop, you've got challenges because you've got planes that you're working on, planes that you're flying all the time, or planes that are ready to fly. And then you got planes that are in boxes waiting. So you need to have this kind of area to store your stuff. So these are all planes back in here. These are kits that are up and coming, or they're parts, or there's like that container down there says miscellaneous usable stuff. And there's 2 of those down in there. And that's got parts like, it's got fuel tanks, and it's got pilot heads, and it's got just all kinds of things that you just, when you get extras of them, you got to have a place to put them. So they end up in those storage boxes. But there's a whole in-hole, I think there's probably about 7, it's probably more like 9 kits back in here. I just ordered one the other day too, so there'll be another one back in here somewhere at some point. And then I keep my plans right down around here in this corner. And well, let's go to the tables and talk about those for a little bit. Well, first of all, I now have, did you want to say something, ma'am? Yeah? Yeah, you're looking real good. She's got the weirdest fur right now because she is in summer and she's shedding like crazy. Yeah? and she's got all these mats that I've been having to cut off of her. Cats are maintenance. Anyways, let's get back to this. The two tables. Okay, so the table over there, as you see, that is the one that I had in the garage shop that we just came from. And this is a new one. I found a door right here on the property and it really piqued my interest. So got a couple of sawhorses under it right now, but the nice thing about this door is it is a metal door. So there's one of my supports for the magnet stuff. So I will be able to simply take and lay my plans out on this door. And so we can build right on top of it. It's nice, hard, flat, and it's got metal on it, so I don't need to lay a piece of sheet metal down behind it. How about that? Pretty cool, huh? And then this one here, I don't know if I've already talked about it, but I went ahead and replaced the glass on it here. I just took it and threw it away. I've had glass on that thing for about 15 years, and one time when I was working on the Rebel with the glass tabletop, I was kind of concerned because I was like using a wrench and just working on a bolt, and I dropped the wrench and it smacked the tabletop real hard. And I got to thinking, holy cow, that's a tempered glass tabletop. The only reason I had it on there is it was super easy to clean. So you could take, and it was very easy to kind of, just work on it. And, if you ever spilled glue or paint or anything, you just took a razor blade, scraped it right off, and that was great. But that was its only greatness. The piece of glass didn't fit the table at all. It hung over one end, and it was also wider than the table itself. So you mean she had little edges coming off of it. And it was a tempered glass, so if it did break, it was going to break into how they break into a billion little tiny cubes. So I thought, well, I don't really need this. So when we moved, it weighed a good 30, 40 pounds. And I decided, I'm just going to throw it in the dump. And I did. I threw it in the dump. And I've just got a bare tabletop on here right now. But I need your help on something. Let me show you this. Okay, you see this material down here? I've got a float in the way here. We'll talk about that at some other point. But see this material? This is it's kind of a heavy plastic. It's like I don't know, it's got to be like a 4 or 5 mil plastic. But it's got ridges in it. I don't know if this is like a floor underlayment or something like that, but it's really cool. I got a couple of these rolls that also came with the property, and what's nice about them is I've used them a couple of times now. You can see some of the stuff here. I painted something for one of the buildings out on the property, so you can see it's got paint on it. It makes a good kind of a drop cloth. And what I'd like to do is find out what this stuff is, because I think I want to see if I can get some more rolls of it and just use it for any time I'm doing something on this tabletop that is going to be messy, or like right now I've got it down there because I've been working on a set of floats here. This is Mark's float right here. And so I've been fiberglassing it. So I set it right on top of it and the glue goes everywhere. But it's so nice to have this because this underlayment can collect the glue. Like, okay, you can see, let's see if I can get it down on here. You can see right here that here's some of it that has, this is part of what I laid down. You can see it just comes right off there. So if I really want to keep cleaning this, I could just pick and whatever to get it to the point where it's clean again. But I'd really like to be able to get some rolls of this stuff and just have them, they fit the table almost perfectly. I mean, it's within the edges, but it make a nice thing that you can lay down on the table and do some really messy work with. And so if you guys know what this is, could somebody please let me know? I suspect it's like an underlayment for tile or something, because the contractor that used to live here there was a bunch of tiling supplies, tiling, flooring, all that kind of stuff. And so I suspect this might be something for that. But if you know what it is, could you leave it down in the comments so at least I could maybe get a chance of ordering some more of it? So anyways, this is the upper table, still the same. I took the glass off of it, and I'm trying to figure out what to put underneath it now. If I'm thinking about maybe putting a sheet of gypsum under there. Maybe a sheet of gypsum, or that ceiling tile stuff, that would be really cool too. Because then, you know, I could use it for like if I wanted to use pins instead of the magnets, which I don't know why I would, but it'd be a nice option to have. And if I could find a piece of that board that would sit on there, then that'd be pretty cool. But anyway, so that's it for the tables. It's nice to have those, two of them, because now I could be working on two projects at one time, whereas in the other house, if I ever wanted to work on a different plane, I would totally have to strip whatever I was working with on the table off. So at least on this one, it's like that. I've got the Flying King over there. I've just got it sitting there waiting for us to start painting on it a little bit. And then I could be right now getting a set of those plans out and laying out a whole nother airplane on this other one. So I will be able to, you know, be working on two things. Sometimes it's nice to work on two things at once. I think it gives you the ability to, you know, keep yourself fresh. You don't get tired. Sometimes when you're on a project, you get tired of it after a while, after it's been sitting on your table for 5 months or so, and it's like, what do we do now? Anyways, that's about it for the shop. Just kind of wanted to give you an update of what I've been doing here in the shop. Most of it has just been, like I said, trying to transition the storage unit into here, and it works pretty well. And yeah, that's what I've been up to. Okay, I know this video has gone way too long, but this is the last thing I want to show you, and then I'll get out of your hair for the day. I mean it. That is, if you haven't already bopped out of this video anyways. But anyways, this is a set of the plans that came back from the Flying King. And I like to, once I'm done with an airplane, just kind of roll up the plans and store them. These could come in handy in the future, like if I break part of the plane and need to, you know, rebuild a section of it, I've got the plans so I can get the parts and put it together and try to rebuild that section. So the thing that I've noticed about plans is we always do this. We take these plans and we put a rubber band around them and stick them in the shelf. They go somewhere where they sit untouched. They might be in a place where there's, you know, no decent air or it's climate control or anything like that. And rubber bands, they just plain dry out after a while. So chances are very good you've taken a set of plans that you've had sitting around for a long time, taking them back out and finding that the rubber band is just like a little hanging piece of rubber off of it. It's not really even holding the plans together. So I'm trying this now. These are Velcro straps. You can get them at your Home Depot, or I'll see if I can find some and put them in a link down below from Amazon. All they are is a strap that's got the one side has got, here, I'll hold it over here. The one side is the fuzzy part and the other side is the hook part. And it's got a little, it's on the ends. I don't ever use these, but you can if you want to. This part comes out, and so I suppose you can take and put that tab through it if you really want to. But this works very well for doing this. So you take it and you just put it on here, and you've got the hooked part to the outside, and you simply roll it right over the top of the fuzzy part, and there. It is all wrapped up. Pretty cool, huh? So I think that that is going to last infinitely longer than the rubber band would have lasted. So think about that. Now I'm going to go ahead and put this away. But that's your tip of the day. Here's a new way to wrap up and hold your plans permanently. Well, not permanently. I mean, you can always unwrap them, but you know what I mean. So that's it for today. Thanks for sitting with me through this long video, but I did want you to get up to date with the way everything's going here in the shop. And the plan going forward is we've got several projects coming up here. I just got my hands on an out of production de Havilland beaver that is going to be coming in. And I think that is going to be, Mark's got an identical one. And I think what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking and building those over our winter this year. It's got a lot of pieces. This particular de Havilland beaver, I think, won Top Gun a few years ago. And like I said, it's no longer in production. I really had to struggle to find it. And I was lucky to find somebody who had bought it and decided they didn't want to build it. So they're passing it on to me. And I'm really excited about it. It's going to be great. What else is coming up? Oh, I'm going to have a video here pretty shortly. I've been covering some floats for Mark. He's got a couple planes that he uses for float flying, and this one's a set of floats that's going to go on his Flying King. And so he's really good at covering, and I like doing fiberglassing. So we kind of did a trade. So he's done the covering job on the Flying King for me, and now I'm going to fiberglass these floats for him. I'll show you how to do it. We'll be using the West Systems epoxy, which is a very popular method for getting fiberglassing done. That's coming up. But gosh, until then, get building. How about that? Okay, see you next time.